your host, nationally acclaimed speaker and author, Debbie Georgatos. Ladies, Can We Talk starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Ladies Can We Talk. So glad you've tuned in. And I want to start out, of course, by wishing all of our listeners a Merry Christmas and have a great week coming up. Tonight's show is just packed, as I say so often at the start of our show. I do want to take just a moment to tell you a quick run-through of what we're going to be doing. In my Speak Up for America segment, starting in just a moment, I'm going to talk with you about the omnibus bill that passed on Friday and the important things you need to know about it, talking points to share with your friends. We are going to have, joining us this evening in the next segment, 6:15, Paul Brown. He's a candidate for Congress from CD 32, and so he's in studio, which is always fun for us. And at 7 o'clock, we'll have on Mayor Beth Van Dyne. She is the mayor of Irving and is in the midst of all the controversy surrounding the Clockboy case. We have lots and lots of information that we think you need to know. And I have my second hour leading ladies already here, which is always great, Dorinda Randall and Jenny McGarry. In this Speak Up for America segment, I want to talk with you about the omnibus bill that just passed. And it passed in Congress on Friday. And I want to just hit a couple of really important points about it. I do, as many of you know, I do Fox News Radio interviews also. So I have a lot of interviews of me on Fox News stations, radio stations around the country. I did a bunch this week and I had several hosts say to me, I'm not really a money person. I don't really exactly follow this. I want to make something clear. Spending bills are policy bills. I'm not great with numbers either. If I have to quote numbers, I have them right in front of me because I don't want to misstate them. But when you spend taxpayer dollars, you're making policy decisions. And those policy decisions should reflect the policies or values that you, as a member of Congress, as a member of the United States Senate, that you ran on, that you said you believed in, that you said you would stand for. That's how you're supposed to vote in Washington. Well, this omnibus bill, which is a spending bill that is the spending bill for the entire United States government through September of 2016. So we'll be having this discussion again in fall, a few months before the actual presidential election. But this spending bill covers that time period. The spending bill, which is called omnibus just because they pile together all various spending priorities and obligations they have into one big bill. The reason that you will hear conservatives, the reason you heard Rush Limbaugh say this week, the Republican Party is over. The reason you heard many conservative pundits making that same point is that in Congress, in our U.S. Congress and the Senate, we have a GOP majority. We had the Republican majority in 2012, and then in 2014 midterm elections, GOP voters, Republican conservative activists, knocked themselves out, worked hard, and got a Republican majority in the Senate. We expected those people, the leadership of the U.S. House and the leadership of the U.S. Senate, to make every effort possible to follow through on the priorities that we, the voters, told them we cared about, that these candidates campaigned on. So what happened this past Friday in the spending bill is that the majority GOP Congress, the House and Senate, passed a bill called the Omnibus Bill, which essentially gave President Obama and his radical left-wing agenda every single thing they wanted. You have to understand how grave and outrageous this was. First of all, this bill passed because Paul Ryan, the new Speaker of the House, had to get Democrat votes. It's the majority of Democrats who passed this bill for Paul Ryan, even though he is a GOP House Speaker, and you'd think he might have had House majority Republicans, but he didn't. The passage of the bill was 166 Democrats compared with 150 Republicans. So to get the bill passed, Paul Ryan had to stir up Democrat support because Republicans weren't with him. The House Freedom Caucus wasn't with him. And the reason, among literally hundreds of reasons, that people are upset about this omnibus bill is because for the last 7 years, ever since the GOP realized how radical and far left President Obama was, the GOP has taken positions and urged members of Congress to stand for them. I'm just going to tell you, all of them were capitulated. All of them were surrendered to President Obama in this omnibus bill. A quick summary: this omnibus bill fully funds the Syrian refugee resettlement program, bringing more unvetable Muslims to America from Syria. This is a funding of a bill that 66% of likely Republican voters polled said, do not do this, do not fund this. It funds the Syrian refugee program. It fully funds sanctuary cities. These are majority issues that Republicans have said, no, 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 don't do this. Fully funds Obamacare. Fully funds Obama's executive amnesty, unconstitutional executive amnesty. Spends over $1 trillion. Fully funds Planned Parenthood. Again, majority Republican voters in poll after poll don't fund that organization. So what the Republicans did in Washington was decide that they did not have the backbone to stand up against President Obama, and so they literally are trying to call this a victory. They're coming home. I saw Texas Senator John Cornyn's Facebook page trying to portray this budget deal, this omnibus bill, as a great victory. Look what we did. We got a budget bill. Well, I have to tell you, the level of fury within the Republican base, and this is not just the Tea Party, far-right, conservative types, it's the Joe average middle American Republican saying, are you kidding me? Why bother having a Republican Party? Why have one? Why agree that there are two parties in Washington? Because what you saw from Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, and Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, on both members of the supposedly members of the Republican Party, saying, we can't do anything about President Obama. We can't stand up to anything he wants, so we surrender. And I want to just talk about how consequential this is. People give money to candidates because they believe those candidates will stand up for the values that they claim they stand for. If you go to Washington and you never stand up for them, why would people believe you again? Why would people believe the RNC, the Republican National Committee? Why would you believe any of these people who went to Washington and just simply gave away everything? It's like you're selling your house and you agreed with a buyer to give it to them for free. It's that kind of negotiation. Republicans were just, they have over many issues over several years, but in this particular one, I would call this the single most important vote in the Congress in the entire 2015 year, the entire year. What you're saying is every single priority the Democrats want will be funded. We surrender. That's the message. And I want to tell you something else egregious about this. Among the things that the GOP claimed, if we would get the majority, is we would reform the system to getting around to passing bills, to reviewing and passing them. So part of what Paul Ryan and the alleged Republicans said they would do is have a more transparent process, permit adequate time for people to members of the House and Senate to read the bill, for the public to read the bill, so we could weigh in and call your congressman or senator and say, hey, vote no, vote yes, whatever it is you want to say. But this bill, according to Senator Jeff Sessions, among the few actual stalwart Republicans in the U.S. Senate, according to Jeff Sessions, this bill was written by 4 people. 4. And the main people they consulted with were the lobbyists. Senator Jeff Sessions said he had to call the lobbyists to ask them what was in the bill. Folks, this is what the Republican Party has been reduced to, diminished to, is just they're doing exactly what the Congress did when it was run by the Democrats. And this is part of why Rush Limbaugh mentioned earlier in the week, or on Friday afternoon, this is, why have a Republican Party? The bill, they're doing exactly what the Democrats did. It's just ruled by executive fiat, ruled by the ruling class. And if you doubt my characterization of this, I'm going to urge you, as I always do in the show, to go to the Facebook page, Ladies Can We Talk, because I post links to all these articles. And the Ladies Can We Talk website, which is ladiescanwetalk.org, is packed full of information, links, data, including the one I'm about to tell you about. Democrat leaders, if you think I'm exaggerating how bad this bill was for GOP, you need to read the comments President Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and other Democrat leaders in Washington made after the bill passed. They are shocked by how much they got. They're shocked by how the fact that they won the entire ball of wax. They won everything. So we're going to very quickly go off to a break here, but I do want to encourage you. You know, this bill is done. It's a done deal. What this will mean for 2016 is that, in my opinion, what will it mean in 2016, that either Donald Trump or Ted Cruz will win the presidential nomination. People are sick and tired of Republicans, mainstream Republicans, established Republicans, saying they believe in things and never following through. This will feed the fury to get an outsider into the White House. And one last really, really important point I want to make, one last point that actually really, really matters. The reason the GOP had to capitulate, the reason they had to is because early on in President Obama's first administration, and even in this second administration, they made very clear they are absolutely unwilling to use the only weapons that the Constitution gave them, which were either impeachment of this president or using the power of the purse to shut down his agenda. When the GOP won't stand up and use either of those, they have no ammo left. They have tyranny by the president, which is where we are. This is Debbie Georgatos. Ladies, can we talk? Come on back after our break.